Hello again, Arbitreers. Welcome back to the Arbitrarium. Tonight we're diving into what might possibly be the darkest, seediest backroom of pop culture, where people, if you can call them that, bring their drugged-up, roided-out pets to torture each other with cruel and unusual tactics that many consider unnatural. It isn't uncommon in this place to witness a rat drown in a deluge of watery vomitus, or a dog engulfed in flame dodge madly to avoid a meteor shower inexplicably summoned within the confines of a gangster's underground hideout. Tonight, Arbitreers, we ask, was Ash Ketchum a psychotic rat-fighting kingpin living in a world devoid of any sanctity for the well-being of these inconceivably godlike battle monsters? Helping me parse out the ethics of the Pokemon are my guests, Whack-a-Diglett World Champion Garrett Harriman, Rapidash stud farming mogul Nicholas Harriman, and our special guest, PR agent for Soylent Poke, Jade the Blade Redacted. Jade, you're the expert. Let's start by asking, are Pokemon sapient?
Inherently, they kind of have to be, because if you look in the show alone, let alone any kind of manga, you actively talk to a Pokemon. It's not a specific command that you just give and they mindlessly follow. Even in games, they can choose to disobey you. Mm. So, in the same sense that most animals are sapient, they actually have a little more than that, because you can hold conversations with the Pokemon.
So would you say they're more along the lines of man-smart?
Some of them probably, yes. I wouldn't say all of them, because I don't know if you're going to get the same intellectual conversation out of a Ditto that you would of a Mr. Mime. But
or at least one Meowth.
Mr. Mime.
Oh God, we're gonna pay for that one.
I don't get it. I didn't even really hear it.
Bruce. It was a scene when Kunta Kinte is being whipped in order to accept his Anglican name.
Yeah. His name is Toby.
Mr. Mime.
Oh, God.
I get it.
there it is.
I get it now. You absolute son of a bitch.
Oh, she's your mother too.
Well, there's arguments I've seen that some Pokemon are actually smarter than humans. And I think maybe we should start this off with the caveat, as we've mentioned before when we've discussed this, that Mewtwo doesn't count. He is too much of an extenuating circumstance in the world of Pokemon. But I've seen
He's an uplift project.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen arguments that there are some other Pokemon that are actually more intelligent than their human counterparts. I think Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam are generally used as an example of that.
There's a potential for Genesect, if you think about it. Genesect's actually an alien that took over other bodies. I think they were technically around before humans were. I don't remember the specifics of it. But I believe they were brought over to Earth by Latios and Latias, and then basically had to be booted back out of Earth because they were being dickwads.
Okay, so we got some like Greek god shit going on.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. It's like Stargate stuff.
I'm suddenly wouldn't be surprised if an elder thing showed up. They look like Pokemon.
I mean, that's what a fucking clay doll is. That thing's terrifying.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what that is.
I hate that so much. Every time I see a clay doll, it terrifies me.
I think.
It's like how could a just God allow such creation?
Well, we're in Pokemon, so the Japanese.
There is only one distinct true God in Pokemon, and we know who it is, and it can be caught by a 10-year-old.
Pikachu.
That one, yes.
God dodges Johto like a landmine.
So we have established that they are sapient and sentient.
There's at least a spectrum of sapience when it comes to Pokemon.
Well, with people, I've noticed that too.
Fair enough.
Entirely true.
I mean, I can't have exactly intellectually stimulating conversation with my toddler, but...
True.
Or a communist.
I don't know. There, some information has come to me recently that actually makes me think maybe some communists do have souls.
Okay, well that's something.
Yeah.
That's something. Yeah.
Now, is the Snorlax the smartest one because it knows it can just nap?
I don't know. I'm not making that connection.
You think about it. What use are you in one of those Pokemon battles if all you're going to do is lay there and sleep?
I mean, if we're going to go on the concept of deciding sleep is the best option, you would have the 3 lake spirits. Because they just went to a bottom of the lake and said, fuck this. So... they just stayed down there along with Jirachi.
Like knowing what was happening to their Pokemon brethren?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They said, my job's done. I'm not going to bother with anything else. I'm going the fuck to bed.
Demiurges.
What a bunch of dicks.
Exactly.
I mean, I know as far as sapience and sentience, Mewtwo doesn't count, but I think Mewtwo was completely in the right
Oh, absolutely.
as far as his convictions and anger.
Mm.
And you mentioned during dinner. What
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the name of the
Well, I figured we were going to dive into this probably a little bit later, but we can start on it now at least. A lot of the arguments that I've seen regarding like the ethics of battling Pokemon, at least that have shown up in universe, are from Black and White, I believe. When there's Team Plasma, and the leader of Team Plasma, his name is Getsus, I believe.
Getsus, yes. And his
Getsus.
subordinate is just N.
Yeah, and his subordinate N.
as in like
The letter.
The letter
okay,
N.
the letter.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But Getsus, throughout a lot of the game, his whole shtick is, it's basically PETA.
Liberate the Pokemon
Liberate the
from their
Pokemon.
terrible, terrible owners.
Yeah, they shouldn't be, like, it's unethical to battle them. They're slaves and blah 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 blah. And it's easy to take his side for quite a lot of that.
Which is why N did so, because he thought
yeah.
he was freeing Pokemon. And then Getsus turns around and saying, just kidding, I'm the only Pokemon trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And then goes from that gate,
Oh yeah.
where
yeah.
even his closest subordinate doesn't.
Just kidding. World domination. Yeah, that's pretty much how that goes. And then they never really address those problems that Getsus and had. It's what basically happens by the end of that game is, and is like, oh well, Getsus was an ass. So maybe Pokemon training isn't unethical. They never say why, really. It just they end the game on him reconsidering his thoughts on whether or not it's ethical to capture, own, and battle Pokemon.
Right, gladiator fights.
Yes.
Unwilling gladiator fights.
Well, there is a question of willingness there.
Yeah,
Because-
if they're in fact sapient, most of the time in the anime, they're quite eager to follow along with what their trainers are telling them to do. And there's no that much of a consequence to losing. Yeah, they get beat up some, but in very few, and I say few because it's never always, very few situations does the Pokemon actually die. Mm-hmm. There are, of course, situations, the easiest to point out being Cubone's mother,
Yeah.
which I believe was killed by Team Rocket, in fact.
I think they do say something.
Yeah.
along
Does that
those
happen to
lines.
all Cubones?
Theoretically, there's this whole shtick on Cubones that the actual mother of a Cubone is a Kangahangastan, if I'm saying that right. I'm trying to...
Kangaskhan?
Kangaskhan?
I think that...
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
Kangaskhan.
Kangaskhan? I don't know. I'm probably illiterate.
Probably.
He got me there. The distinct sort of crescent shape where their pattern lines up is actually been theorized that it's an easy to pull open patch for the skull to be removed. Which I don't-
like a onesie butt flap?
Pretty much. It's I don't
For your
know
skull.
exactly. I'm not sure about that one, but it's possible because whenever you do see this Pokemon, it has a tiny little baby in its pouch, and it has a similar body type to Cubone.
It's true. I'll give you that.
I mean, for all we know, that is a major case of sexual dimorphism in a Pokemon species. We already know that's the case with, what are they, Nita somethings?
Nidoran?
Nidoking?
Nidoran,
Yes. yes.
Nida... Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are that's an example of sexual dimorphism.
The stud farmer would know.
It's not just Rapidashes.
So,
Vaporeons are very popular.
my argument is even a willing slave is still a slave
Yeah.
as far as Pokemon battling.
There's an in-universe argument for that.
Okay.
For a long time, Pokeballs weren't really explained all that much as far as how they operated, but in one of the games, and now I'm drawing a blank on which one it was, in one of the games, you actually, one of the later ones, you actually find out that basically what happens with a Pokeball is when the Pokemon's captured, something happens to the Pokemon in the Pokeball, and they're basically brainwashed to love and obey whoever it is that's captured them.
Oh, that's absolutely awful.
Yeah.
It's also not really consistent. with other parts of the story where Pokemon continue
Because
to...
that's true, because I know in some of the earlier anime, Ash actually gets a Charizard that absolutely tells him to fuck off no matter what he does.
Yeah, for a
and
long
that
time,
has
yeah.
been Pokeballed. So,
Yeah,
Yeah, but it never leaves.
that's true. It doesn't leave.
Why can't it just not just say, no, I'm not doing what you tell me, but
There are Pokemon, and some Ash's, what was it, Venomoth,
it just leaves.
that he
yeah,
doesn't
he had
want to fight.
Butterfree,
And
too. that
Butterfree, that's
he
what I
let
meant.
go.
Yeah, he let Butterfree go.
And,
Yeah, he let it go, but
It wanted to leave.
you know,
In the same aspect,
it
he didn't-
required his emancipation.
Well, that's
it didn't
true.
also
to
do
do it.
anything with the Pokeball specifically, so it's a question if the Pokeball is included for it to, like, if you have to push in, the digits of pi on the back of the Pokeball for it to release whatever theoretical control it has over it.
I assumed it was just the button on the front.
Hey, that Charizard was just very tsundere. Not like I like you or anything, Baka.
I don't understand that reference at all.
It's a weeb.
I understood about 80% of those words.
Arbitreers, there are weeaboos here if you can't tell.
None of the important words, though.
No.
None of the words that give me context.
The context is I'm going to act like I don't like you, but I actually like you a lot. And I'm going to call you an idiot just to show how much I don't like you.
Oh, yeah, okay, playground rules.
Yep. I mean, in some cases he gets set on fire. It's like the old song says, if you love somebody, set them on fire.
Yep.
That was a pause so that the audience could laugh. That's the light was blinking.
I am not sorry.
You never are. That's one of your problems.
We're actually getting through this a lot quicker than I expected.
Yeah.
So,
my primary argument is that for all intents and purposes, the Pokemon are sapient, sentient creatures that are captured in quantum murder devices that are then brainwashed by said quantum murder device to nominally implant them with the notion to obey their captor.
Sorry, our producer's having he had too much coke in the green
well,
room.
he's not the producer. He's too crazy to be the producer.
I'm sorry I closed the box.
It's the producer's brother is losing his shit.
You might want to pick him up and just keep him company. It helps.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, no, he's gonna...
And
I
he's off.
apologize.
Yeah.
I know I am
got
not
cat
pleasant.
scabs all over my hand. Captured and forced to fight in elemental blood sport.
Okay.
Against,
Start from the top and let's go over that.
Sometimes not even elemental. They'll just straight up bite somebody. Bite is an attack.
Okay, so these are sapient, sentient creatures that are roughly man smart. Maybe not genius level, but certainly at least child level. That are captured by the use of beating the crap out of them, and then you hit them with a quantum murder ball.
Yeah, let's dive into the quantum murder ball. What do you...
Okay, so it's a quantum murder ball. That's what a Pokeball is. Because it's a teleporter of some sort. In order for anything to be turned into energy, captured, and then reassembled from said energy, you have to read and perfectly recreate everything from its macro physical characteristics all the way down to the quantum energy states of all its molecules and atoms.
You got to be able to break it all the way down and compartmentalize it
aspect.
so that you can reform it perfectly.
And in systems that small, the only way to read what that system was in the first place was to mess with
Destroy
it
it.
and destroy it. So you have to completely annihilate this critter from the quark level up to get a read on it. And then it gets sucked into a ball, and God, I hope they're out for
Totally
that.
unconscious.
Because the
Well,
I don't think they could be conscious
here's
if they're
the-
broken on a molecular level.
yeah, but here's another issue with the game as far as being broken down on a molecular level.
no,
While
it's
they're in the
subatomic level.
while they're in the Pokeball, they are still affected by poison.
My God.
While their health gets lower and lower as you walk, in the game if they've been poisoned. So even if they're broken down to the smallest subatomic level, whatever poison there is isn't being, like, you would think if we had that technology we could, get rid of the poison parts, but apparently we just don't care.
That is...
Well, if you think about it, there has to be some sort of life support system, because the infamous Spoink.
Fucking Spoink.
Yeah, beats its heart through jumping, but if you stop it and you molecularize it, put it in a box, theoretically it wouldn't be moving anymore, but there has to be some sort of computer chip that is keeping track of what is happening with that organism and keeping it in a sort of stasis that is continued living but unconscious, theoretically.
I hope it's unconscious, because the alternative is unthinkable.
Quite literally, yeah. But there has to be something that keeps him alive, otherwise that thing would be fucking dead. You would put it in a ball and you would wait 5 minutes and you'd put it back out and it would lay on the ground.
It can do that.
To spore.
That can happen if you don't cure the poison before it passes out. In the game, Pokemon, they have to die at some point because there's fossilization and all that kind of stuff. But while they're in the Pokeball, or even when they're battling, maybe they can, but they just don't outright die. They can only be knocked out.
Well, Pokemon death is absolutely a thing, and Pokemon death is one of the reasons there is actually multiverse in Pokemon. Through a war. There was an ancient war that went on, and it killed the king's pet, and he created this massive tower device to bring it back to life. And after he brought it back to life, he was still super pissed about it of dying in the first place. So he turned this massive thing of resurrection into a weapon and obliterated most things and split the literal space-time continuum. Pieces of the Earth that shot off into space later became Mega Evolution Stones, so that became its own pocket universe. And eventually, as the Pokemon realized, you did that, it leaves and he leaves, and both, due to the power that was around them, are now immortal to walk forever. So Pokemon death is absolutely a thing, and it may be curable, but not by any reasonable means.
Well, you see it in other areas too, like the tower and is it red and blue? Is it that early? The actual, I think it is. The tower.
Think it is.
The tower you go to, and what city is that? It's the one where you run into all the ghost Pokemon.
Lavender Town.
Lavender Town. So there's that. And also, I don't remember which game it is, but I do vaguely remember going into a cemetery and reading Pokemon names.
Yeah, Pokemon.
And there was that kid who heroized Rat-a-tat.
Yeah.
You totally killed that kid's Pokemon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Memories.
Yeah.
Do they eat them?
This whole situation is messed up.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about it.
It's not just a quantum murder ball. It's a quantum enslaving murder ball. If the altering of their preferences towards humans, or one particular human, is true.
Yeah, because in that game, if I remember right, I don't remember what Pokemon it is, but it might have been Charizard. I can't remember. But this Pokemon is kidnapped, captured by a trainer who wasn't their trainer. Mm-hmm. I think it might have been one of the gangsters. But so the Pokemon's captured, kidnapped, and then when that trainer comes back and does try to get the Pokemon back, the Pokemon doesn't want to leave its captor. Its new captor. In fact, it becomes pretty much not violent. Good timing. Not violent, but like combative with its original trainer. Like, I'm not going anywhere. Piss off. So
which
there's
is an entire endeavor that I have to go into Team Rocket, because Team Rocket's entire thing is it's on a corporate level kind of organization that deals in the recapturing and trading of exotic Pokemon. So they're this whole underground business, which means they have at least some solidified method of being able to alter what Pokemon think of their current owner and reapply it to a new owner.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Quite literally,
yeah. It's institutionalized.
Technological Stockholm Syndrome.
Institutionalized, even. Because Pokemon, even in universe, is an institution. I mean, it's a huge thing.
Yeah, you have entire, like, 100,000 seating stadiums to watch these things.
Yeah.
You have entire, like, hospitals specifically made to deal with Pokemon. Yeah. What happened to, like, normal animals?
Like
And-
even regular sports
There are
involve
cats.
Pokemon.
And I think there are dogs in Pokemon too.
It's not even just
They're
like
definitely cats.
it's not even just like the gladiatorial games that's going on here. I remember in the show, Ash went to a power plant where they were just sucking energy off various electric types to fuel power their cities. Mm-hmm. That's why you have tech that you could build a steam generator, man.
Yeah, it's the Matrix problem, right? Mm-hmm. Although these are creatures who actually do.
I mean, they're basically walking gods.
Yeah.
Well, floating.
I think that's going
gods,
to be
as
maybe
far as
that's
the
what we'll get
magnetrons.
into in the next part of the.
Do you need to get 3 magnetrons to make a magnetor?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
No,
Okay.
They just kind of reproduce by budding.
I don't know.
I know Wheezing does. At
Yeah.
least I think Wheezing does.
Yeah.
Those things are gross, though.
You got wheezing, and then coughing has got another one that's about to pop off and make another wheezing.
Yeah,
That's so it's got
grotesque.
It's
Yeah.
got some serious like Quado energy going on right there.
That reminds me of that, like, fake Pokemon thing. It was, you had wet, damp, drowned.
Oh yeah.
My favorite fake Pokemon was well, what's all this then?
Man, woman, man. Or what woman? It has 4 arms and an extra set of tits.
But see, the important thing about Pokemon, the institution of Pokemon, is catching them. That's the phrase. That's the catchphrase. It's not gotta love them all or gotta train them all. It's no, you gotta catch them all. Nothing else matters. Really.
My lovely wife brought this up to me when I was contemplating this topic of the Arbitrarium. In the original game, there was only 2 trainers tasked with catching them all. Ash
Gary was one of them.
and Gary Oaks.
Yeah. To fill the Pokedex.
To fill the Pokedex. That was it. That was just research. If it's just research, why you gotta battle them?
Nepotism.
Well, I mean, there might actually be some logic to it, because if you can't see how they would defend themselves or how they would react to other Pokemon, then you're not necessarily going to get the entire thing, which doesn't mean it's ethical by any means.
Yeah, I was gonna say
But you're
because
not
by
gonna-
then,
Yeah.
even in that moment when Oak sends you out to capture these Pokemon, like battling them is already a thing. Like, and there's already
Yeah.
hospitals. Like, there are places where this knowledge is already easily accessible.
It's like I could kind of understand. All right, for research purposes, we'll use the quantum murder ball. For research purposes only, because I don't know about you, but you're not transporting an Onyx anywhere it doesn't want to go.
No.
Not especially when you're 10 years old. That's just not going to happen.
Onyx is bad enough. Then you got Gyarados though. That son of a bitch.
Those things are quite literally aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is very difficult to capture a Gyarados.
Well, here's
A
a,
group of them is called a humbling, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
I think so, actually. Yeah,
Is that a
I
thing?
remember that.
well,
It probably is.
It's either a humbling
aptly
or
named.
it's either a humbling of Gyarados or a Holocaust of Gyarados.
Either
I prefer
after.
to,
apt.
I'd say a group of Charizards would be a Holocaust, considering the.
Or would it be a group of wheezing and coughing?
Could be either.
A great war.
Oh,
There was a big scuff
Oh,
over somebody
boy.
playing Pokemon Go, and they were in a Holocaust museum, and a wheezing showed up.
Oh god.
Oh,
Well, we know how the Japanese feel about the Nazis.
Oh man.
oh, that's
Well-
bad.
Here's another question.
That's why the Japanese don't have any radiation type Pokemon.
Yeah.
There are a lot of psychic types, right?
Yes.
Quite
Yeah.
a few, yeah.
How do we know the trainer is actually in control
We don't.
with those?
There is quite literally we don't. Like the most notorious Hypno, his Pokedex entry specifically says he can hypnotize you and make you do shit. So,
So, who's the slave?
Mom, Dad, I started building this hive in the backyard, and I don't know why.
I didn't realize they made hives.
I do now, I guess.
If you're allergic to them, sure.
I just thought a hive was like the craziest thing to have to get mind controlled, and then you're just building a hive.
Maybe that's Kadabra's or Alakazam's plan is to build a bee drill hive and control them. A laser-guided bee cannon.
How's that going to work on a robot?
It's not for the robot. It's for the guy controlling the robot.
Speaking of Pokemon,
Oh yeah.
are you quite done?
That
Nico?
is your own tale, sir.
The producer's brother is furious at his tail.
There is soft growling. That's what's going on. He's attacking his own tail.
This is a pretty good place for a break, I think. I mean, we're at about 25 minutes. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I believe we're going to talk about something else.
The Arbitrarium presents Unknowable History. Santa Claus, or as the Laotians refer to him, El Diablo Alegre. Nearly 300 years after the death of the boy who lived, aka Jesus Christ, the man who would become the patron saint of only the good children sat in a Turkish bathhouse, pondering what to make of himself. Becoming sufficiently inebriated on hookah infused with various ancient psychoactive spices, the Red Spectre, as he would come to be known, wandered down to Baratarap's farm to take in a view of nature and the myriad stenches thereof. What happened next is often debated by historians, but what is clear is that something bedeviled the saint, and he was compelled to paint himself in the blood of the lamb and run down the streets of Patara in search of young women who were being sold into prostitution and slavery. Upon assaulting them with his brilliant naked self, he offered the purveyors a handsome dowry of various ancient psychoactive spices, and also a few rare commemorative pogs of a then popular Jewish waterbender named Moses. Not long after this debaucherous act of salvation, word spread among the people of Turkey of the Great Crimson Buddha, as he would come to be called, and legends began to develop. The following morning, Baratarap awoke to the bloody scene, where not a single of his flock remained. Soon after, the connection was made between the massacre and the Scarlet Saint of Prostitutes, as he is venerably remembered, and word spread of a ravenous monster that feasts on livestock and frees women of their sexual debt to wealthy Turkish aristocrats. And so began the legend of El Chupacabra, still haunting the superstitious minds of Turkish farmers to this day, and commemorated among prostitutes with ritual sacrifices of lamb and a display of pogs adorned by his nude figure, which no historian debates, the legend has earned him. This has been Unknowable History.
And we're back. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the capabilities and powers of Pokemon. They seem to have some kind of godlike series of capabilities here, and it seems baffling that they would have ever at any point allowed themselves to be subservient to humans. Garrett, we've had that discussion a few times, and you've got a pretty good grasp of that. Why don't you explain it to us?
Well, I don't remember those conversations.
Oh, okay.
As far as why they would allow themselves to be subjugated, the only thing I got is that was the miracle of the Pokeball as far as humans were concerned. I mean, you're not going to be able to take out a Charizard with a rifle, considering it can get hit by lightning that can crack a Mayan temple into pieces. So you're not taking that thing out. So I think the only way you could conceivably survive is to mind control the damn thing.
Okay. And even then, it proved exceedingly difficult for Ash.
Yes.
There's also the other aspect that goes back to using Pokemon to fight other Pokemon. The only real defense you have against said deity like Pokemon is another Pokemon. So that might lead some credence to actually training Pokemon for the sake of not getting absolutely obliterated by a Gyarados that decided you looked at it funny.
I choose you, Kevin.
Kevin used Meat Shield.
It's not very effective.
Oh no, it's extremely effective. You just have to run faster than Kevin.
Then you throw out Bill, and Bill uses Harden, and we'll see how long that lasts.
It's super effective.
So I think, like, as far as I understand it, Pokemon World is kind of it's a dark mirror of our own, not in like any kind of social way, like the Black Mirror TV show, but they do make references to evolution and how things change over time. And as far as I'm aware, humans have been around as long as they have been elsewhere. So humanity's technological progress must be just staggering to have any chance of survival against these things.
Well, and we did talk about what the Pokeball is capable of doing, so
Right.
that is a pretty potent ability.
I mean, at the same time, wasn't the original Pokeball a type of nut?
It wasn't the original one, but at a certain point, there is somebody you trade apricot, or not apricot, what are those? Apricorns. I think that's what
I think
they're
so,
called.
yeah.
Apricorns to this dude who makes Pokeballs out of them. And he makes like any Pokeball you want, except for, I think, a Master Ball. I don't think you can
Yeah,
make
I think that's because
You only get one of those,
Yeah.
near unobtainable.
unless you use the duplication glitch,
Yeah.
which is what I did.
So, the original form, could that be just like a drug you give them? You become their pusher, so they start obeying you?
I mean, there's a whole institution of drugs for Pokemans too. I mean, you go to certain shops, and it's just like here's all the steroids for everything your Pokemon could possibly need.
There's literally candy you can feed to make them a higher level.
The
Yeah,
red
you
candies.
drug the shit out of them.
Maybe that's why humanity, we
Okay,
can't
so
fight
now,
them?
Yeah, now I'm kind of torn on this. It's like we shouldn't be enslaving things, but if this is our only chance of survival, I think that the technological progression for humanity would be, all right, humans show up. They are completely outclassed by god rats and flying dragons and all these other crazy things that should have no problem killing a human. So the only ones that
The
survive
Ubermon.
are the ones that go from, all right, we are now a human species. The next generation invents fire or discovers fire. The next generation invents the rifle. And in the generation after that invents the nuclear warhead.
Now, to be fair, when you have Pokemon with the types of powers that they have as a reference for some of the shit that you like, some of those types of things like fire and rockets and shit like that, then yeah, I could see us progressing a little bit faster.
If we weren't all exterminated,
Yes. Yeah.
which
I mean,
we
you also-
presumably are not, considering there are humans around.
Yeah.
There's also got to be some consideration for the regional aspects, because a lot of these more powerful Pokemon are in places where there aren't as many people. So in these more common areas, like, let's say the original Pallet Town, where your main threat is a Poochyena who can bite and scratch you, compared to where you get to the Final League, where there are anteaters that use fire to melt metal ants. So it might be a regional thing, because the people in areas where the Pokemon are not necessarily more tame, but easier to manage and maybe convince to befriend in the same way that we domesticated wolves, might give you a better chance of working your way up at the bare minimum.
I mean, it makes sense to think that, okay, the only way the humans can survive is to essentially domesticate god animals, when the only alternative is be destroyed by god animals.
There are many god animals who have been sealed for explicitly, oh god, this would hurt, put that away.
Yes.
Well,
The Reggies being the prime example.
The what?
The Reggies.
The Reggies, Regigigas, Regice, Regirock, and Registeel.
Is that some kind of punk band?
Pretty much. Regigigas was created by Arceus to quite literally grab the chunks of land and mold them into continents.
Pokespermia.
Pretty much. The way I think the other three Reggies came about is Reggie said, these are humans here.
Oh, Reggie, as in God, or
Yes.
as in king.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not
I
Reggie.
heard,
Reggie. Yeah.
I probably said it
like-
wrong. Like I said, I'm probably illiterate. But these humans started worshipping this Pokemon, and he said,
And who
that's
wouldn't?"
cute. Exactly. He said, that's cute. Here's like a miniature version of the statue you made me. And the human said, oh god, oh fuck, it moves, put it away. And probably happened two other times.
How about, okay, yeah, so it kind of makes me think of the whole evolution thing. How the fuck does that work?
There is an entire plot line behind that of how that probably worked.
I figured there probably was. I'm just not familiar with it.
I can give maybe a general synopsis of what might happen. I don't know if it's stated specifically if it happened or not, so take it with a grain of salt.
well, by all means, tell us.
All right, let's
Inquiring
try
minds.
this. The way the entire thing started is Arceus
Who is Arceus?
Arceus is God. Quite literally, Arceus is God. Arceus is what started creation. He is quite literally, even in the Pokedex entries, referred to as the God Pokemon.
Doesn't it look like a weird wolf thing?
He looks like a deer with a big circle around him, but pointy feet and strips going off his head.
Oh.
Okay.
So kind of that Miyazaki forest god thing.
That's what I was picturing, too.
Yeah.
But Arceus came to what would be called Earth and basically scattered a bunch of Mew on it, which is where Mew first came from, and they were the original Pokemon. And through a lot of different events, Mew ended up getting in certain situations where it had to flash its weirdly potential amount of energy and became something different, which is how Ditto happened, is Mew can transform into anything. Ditto was a failed copy of Mew.
Oh, so Ditto, which happens to be one of my favorite Pokemon, was one of the earliest Pokemon.
It is. Ditto was
the original pimp.
Yes,
It makes sense. It's basically just a wad of protoplasm.
Yeah, Ditto was what happened before Mewtwo, was the first attempt of cloning Mew. But through a lot of these situations, Mew ended up turning into more Pokemon. And I think there was a couple of different world-ending events, like when he made Latios and Latias to go search the galaxy for other life forms. They brought back Genesect. Genesect started infecting other things, kicked them back out, scattered what Mew were left, and tried to recreate everything again. He created Kyogre and Rayquaza and Groudon to manage Earth, Air, Sea.
There was a Pokemon diaspora? Okay.
I had no idea that the lore was this deep.
It's fucking weird.
And
it's really weird.
Yeah, it
There's a
sounds
lot
like a. It almost reminded me of the ramblings of Vivek from Morrowind.
Yeah.
And that was brought on by
And I'm telling
a
this in
3-day
really,
mushroom trip.
yeah, I'm telling this in really bad, patchy things because I had the memory of a squirrel, probably with dementia.
Don't fuck with squirrels, man.
I've learned that the hard way.
You tried to catch one, didn't you?
I tried to shoot one and it tried to make an assassination attempt on me, but that's a story for a different time.
They put out a hit on you?
Yes, actually.
It came back with a fucking tiny garrote.
That squirrel was almost wearing a jade skin cap.
It was. But no. Fuck, I forgot where I left off.
Sorry.
The Genesect decided that we're going to be all...
Arceus brought them all back together, told them, alright, we're going to condense all your magic and spew you out again. And that's how we got fossilized things like Lilith and Aerodactyl and all them guys.
Kabuto.
Kabuto, stuff like that.
So that wasn't like a natural death. That was a...
No, I don't believe it was.
That was a Noah and the flood sort of...
Pretty much,
Okay.
yeah.
Fucking unicorns, man.
And as the first humans started to show up, Arceus is like, I don't know about these things. I'm going to test the fuck out of them, as any good, caring, loving god would, to make them go through amounts of suffering. So he made basically three sorts of trials.
As a writer, yeah. That's what you do.
Three general trials of Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres. He created one that froze the planet, and that's how we got Pokemon like Mamoswine, because whatever didn't survive turned into different things. And after they survived that, they did Moltres blister the earth, and we get every kind of sand Pokemon we got. And then massive electrical storms, oh god, and that's how we get a lot of this metal type. I'm forgetting the one, looks like it's got magnets on its head. Magneton. And stuff like that. And after a while of Arceus farting around and making whatever the fuck he wants pretty much, he basically goes to sleep and he creates Pokemon of different time aspects and other Pokemon to manage other Pokemon, and this is where we start getting into the actual games.
The Poke Firmament.
Pretty much.
Okay, so from what I gather from this,
Pantheon.
yeah, they're not the non. What was the god's name again?
Which one?
The big god.
The big
Arceus?
god. Yeah, Arceus. The non-Arceus Pokemon, I think they're more like angels. That they're just sparks of divinity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They can stick in a ball.
That you can put in a
stick
ball.
yeah.
No, I think you can put God in a ball.
You can catch Arceus.
Yeah.
I think it's only in very few select games that you even have the opportunity to, but it's possible.
I think you did, didn't you?
Did you capture God?
Talking to my wife.
I mean, that'd be a very
She
different
wooed him with her feminine balls.
That would be a very different version of Passion of the Christ.
Passion of the Mew. It seems Mew kind of sacrificed itself to make all sorts of kinds of
The Mew's, there's a reason Mew itself is so rare. It's because it's the OG of Pokemon DNA. Which is why Team Rocket wanted it so badly, because if they could make something like Mewtwo, and they would have any kind of Pokemon they wanted to distribute wherever the fuck they wanted.
Is there more than one Mew? I thought there was only one and you lived on the moon.
There used to be. That's what the original race used to be. But as far as I'm concerned, there's only one Mew left, and that is the Mew that's known through most of the anime and such and such.
And it lives on the moon.
Moon Mew. Yeah.
How does it live?
We're talking about a world of fucking animal gods.
See, I'm just picturing Mew in that famous Dr. Manhattan moment.
To be fair, Mew's shiny form is blue.
They're right there.
Yeah, it was Mew.
Why
It
would
was
I
my
say?
favorite Pokemon for a while.
Oh God!
Fucking DNA kitty.
But then so was Snorlax at one point.
Break down every single poignant moment of the Watchmen and just put Mew in there instead.
See, I was just thinking
Why
about
would I save a world? I have no.
the famous putting the flag up on the moon, and then in the background you see Mew going across the landscape. Like, hi.
I mean, that could be arranged.
Probably, yeah.
Or,
It was
NASA.
like that GIF that I posted in the group chat not long ago. The scene from The Shining where he's frozen and then you see Olaf walk by.
Yeah, you've got NASA, like, we're looking for life off of Earth. Well, we found it. That doesn't count.
I
That's
think
what.
there is a moon Pokemon.
That's why they faked the moon landing.
No, there are two moon
This
Pokemon.
is too fucking
right.
Moon
outlandish.
Pokemon.
Yeah, there's
I'm actually surprised there aren't more.
there's at least two that live on the moon. Or at least from the moon. There is Darkrai and Cresselia, which Cresselia looks like a celestial duck and Darkrai looks like an edgelord. Darkrai symbolizing obviously the dark side of the moon, Cresselia the light side.
Just had a Pink Floyd riff in my head.
Pretty much, actually.
Clearly
yeah.
the coolest Pokemon.
Yeah. I think they both...
No, man, that's Zigzagoon.
Kunikas.
Zigzagoon is my favorite. Because it's just a raccoon. That's what it is. It's a fucking raccoon.
It's a raccoon that actually moves strictly in zigzags.
Someone actually just gets a raccoon and a fucking Pokeball and throws it out there. It just runs to the nearest trash.
It's totally reasonable for him to be your favorite Pokemon because he is pretty much just a fucking raccoon. And if you're just a fucking raccoon and you're badass enough to go against these god monsters, that's pretty sweet.
You've earned some kudos. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
And I think Kunicus or Zigzagoon can, until recently, could learn the widest types or different types of moves.
Maybe? I don't know. I never knew much about... I knew about the move types, but I didn't know moves specifically.
And he was fast.
He was fast.
Zigzagoons are fast, so
And he darts.
Yeah, they typically move first.
High initiative.
So you could have like 4 different types of moves just out of one Pokemon. Good ones too. Out of a fucking raccoon.
Whenever I was playing Pokemon,
This raccoon can in fact learn Flamethrower.
from like the age of 12 or so up, every time I was playing Pokemon and I kept upping its agility, I just imagined that I was feeding it fucking crack.
I mean, to be fair, I think... I read this online somewhere, so don't take it as entirely truth. That the most powerful move that can be done by a Pokemon is capable of being done by a Shuckle.
A what now?
Shuckle?
A Shuckle.
What is a Shuckle?
A
Is
Shuckle...
that Jewish money?
It's Rick and Morty money, obviously.
Shackle.
Oh.
But it's basically a turtle shell that has tentacles popping out and a long head.
I mean, that sounds
It looks
cool.
like those holes that you put Play-Doh through and you compress them.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that. It's what it looked like. If you had a ball of that, you push Play-Doh on it and stuff came out.
Okay.
And it's like...
Is it tiny?
It's pretty tiny. It's not like cat-sized tiny, But I would say maybe a medium-sized dog tiny.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
got outdone by God by a shuckle.
Yeah.
So, to answer your original question, why would they allow themselves to be?
Yeah, that's right. We were going somewhere with this.
Yeah,
Why
that's
would
my
they allow
problem.
themselves to be
No, you're fine.
Drugs.
Perhaps it is a matter of survival for these things as well. Because we obviously have quite a bit of excellent medical technology for Pokemon. I mean, you pop them in a microwave and they're fixed. Do, and then total full health.
Mm-hmm.
From near death, boom, done. What's your problem? Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Pop them in the microwave.
Apparently our lemonade even heals them, I think.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think pretty much all foods do.
So that's
So-
it.
Maybe it's like an Orion Syndicate from Star Trek kind of situation. So the Orion slave women, they
Yeah.
were actually in control.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, I'm totally your slave. By the way, I'm pulling the strings. Maybe that's what's going on here. They never allowed themselves to be subjugated. They just make us think so.
That
And they're
actually
just
isn't
having
the part of
fun.
the question, yeah.
They're just having fun, kind of fighting each other.
Yeah.
I can see that.
The
I
psychic
can actually
types,
see that.
definitely.
And they're taking advantage of our medical tech and free food and
Maybe companionship to the nice ones.
yeah, I mean, as far as I know, Pokemon don't die of like old age.
Oddish. Subtitle, let's give him a good show.
So, like, it's such a temporary thing, maybe, for them. Like, all right, yeah, I have to live in this ball for a bit, and they kind of fuck with my brain chemistry, but he's going to be dead after maybe 150 years, and that's like 15 minutes. I got this.
That's kind of a situation, if you think about it, happens with Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza. Because in the games where these Pokemon are present, Team Magma, Team Aqua, respectively, are trying to not resurrect, but reawaken their respective Pokemon. And you end up going, both of you end up going to Rayquaza, going, Dad, please help. And Rayquaza says, fine, and then comes down and helps you kick ass. So,
Rayquaza is like the flying dragon bug looking thing, right?
Rayquaza is a long dragon that's a string.
Okay.
He's the green one.
String dragon?
Sometimes
I think I've seen one
He's
of
like
those.
a pointy Chinese dragon.
a noodle?
I'm
Pretty new.
barely up on anything outside of the original 150. The last Pokemon game I played was Yellow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gold was my favorite.
It would be.
Ooh, damn.
Gold was my favorite. I think Gold was my favorite because that was when I was like right at the perfect age that I understood the universe of Pokemon and like was starting to get all the entertaining nuances of it. But I mean, I played a few beyond that. I played Pearl. I played Black, I believe. I started that. I don't think I ever finished it. But yeah.
Yeah, Black is where I started in at, so I was a little late to the game to begin with.
My first Pokemon game was Pokemon Red.
That was the first one I played, yeah.
And I always wanted Green, but I never played Green.
I mean, Bulbasaur's the shit, that's why.
Yeah.
Everybody likes Bulbasaur. I well,
He's a
Bulbasaur
walking
as well.
240 Bravo that's been mated with a dinosaur. Bullet Seed? Come on, he sprays those things out at 850 seeds per minute.
And he looks like a happy frog.
He does look like a happy frog. And when Ash tries to catch him, remember, Bulbasaur's like, okay, you better fucking beat me first.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you gotta prove that you can fight me first. That was what happened in the series, yeah?
Yeah.
That's how he got his Bulbasaur. Ash is like,
course,
I'm gonna catch you. He's like, the fuck you are.
Everyone was, I mean, as far as I remember, everyone was like super jealous of Ash because he actually got a Pikachu right off the bat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why Team Rocket is so up his ass, is because that's Pikachu. We like never see Pikachu. I can make money off that. Please give it to me.
And, I mean,
He's not one of the original ones that you can choose. He's a relatively special Pokemon.
yeah, it was one of the first, like, cool Pokemon to own was Pikachu. And then he just gets one off the bat, and everyone's like, you fucker.
Tesla rat.
I think there's actually some weird time travel shit to involve with that.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think maybe in the anime, Ash ends up going to the past and the kid that he's interacting with is actually Professor Oak.
But why?
Fuck off, I guess. I don't know.
Why not?
It's
We're talking
Pokemon.
about
It does whatever it
Pokemon.
wants.
Fair enough.
The question isn't why, it's why not. So yeah, as far as like the power of Pokemon, I've seen some interesting attempts to quantify at least the power of Pikachu.
Oh yes.
Because as far as we can tell, Pikachu is maybe a little bit above average of a normal Pikachu.
Mm-hmm.
And we see Pikachu level a city block.
Yeah.
Actually, there is even an episode, I think in the anime, I watched like glancingly at once, probably when my sister was watching it, where Pikachu is fighting a Raichu.
Yeah.
And Pikachu has the option to evolve, but says fuck that noise, and then kicks the Raichu's ass the second time round.
Yeah, that was a big
So-
episode in
Yeah.
Pokemon.
I remember that.
That was an Ethics of Pokemon episode of Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Don't force them to evolve.
Yeah.
If they don't want to, don't let them.
Well,
You know what I mean? If they don't want to, don't force them to.
right.
But the more impressive feat is Pikachu. And because when he levels a city block, you could argue that maybe the fumes off the coughing were
An exacerbating
yeah.
factor.
yes a flammable, combustible.
Yeah.
An
So
accelerant
when
of
it
some sort.
it ignited that, and that's what caused that. No, the more impressive feat is using pure electrical power to shatter a Mayan temple.
Yeah.
And not like make a crack through it. No, like annihilate it. Because if you look at everything has electrical resistance. Anything can be used to conduct electricity. Some things are better at it than others. Stone is not very good at conducting electricity.
Right.
That's measured in resistance, which is measured in ohms. So forcing
That much power
current
through
through
a stone.
something can cause it to heat up. That's what makes your electrical stove work. Any kind of
So-
electrical heating element. That's how it works. The with materials that have very high resistance, you can still break them with electricity. It's done through thermal shock, thermal shearing, where some parts of it absorb more energy and therefore they expand and cause it to shift and shatter. That temple that Pikachu destroyed with one shot had roughly an electrical resistance of 6 million ohms. 6 million.
So in general, it would be
that's
having
granite.
none of that shit.
That's granite.
Yeah.
That's the electrical resistance of granite. And Pikachu shattered it. That thing was about an acre in size as far as base. And it went up to about 100 feet, give or take. Gone. One shot from an above average Pikachu.
Which is even scarier if you think about the case of Mewtwo, who is exceptionally powerful.
Yeah.
Could he mind control an entire city?
Probably, honestly. I wouldn't put it out of the question.
Pikachu?
No.
It's like okay, like it was kind of like okay. I'm
No,
sorry.
You
It was-
missed a part there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think since Mewtwo actually has some sense of moral capacity, I don't know if he would.
No, I think Mewtwo would be the more moral actor in that.
He's a rational Pokemon.
He'd rather go for genocide than enslavement.
Yeah. And even then, he was capable of being convinced otherwise, which is how that ends.
Yeah. Through Mew being cute.
Yeah.
And then Ash being
Well,
like,
through
I can make friends, and then go from there.
Well, specifically through Pikachu being like the best friend ever.
Exactly.
We don't have to be fuck asses towards each other.
Pikachu hitting everybody right in the fucking feels.
If this Thunder Rat can feel love.
Actually, that
For
brings up
this
another
human.
point. That does bring up another point, though, because Pikachu's tear was actually what resurrected Ash. So what power is contained in their actual body fluids, let alone what they can put out?
Oh, God.
Where the fuck does that come in?
They're like the fucking Russians, man.
Oh God, I don't want to think about what goes on in that little microwave. Oh God.
Coated in Pokemon tears.
Not where I was going with that.
See, I heard bodily fluids, and I went immediately to Dr. Strangelove.
Alright, well, at least it's not going towards the fan base's Vaporeon fetish.
You got your 6 Pokemon in that little microwave thing.
You got it.
Standing on top of that is just some fucking Aber Alakazam or some shit just jerking off.
Oh, yeah, I didn't need to know about that. I figured they just have a reservoir underneath, not to show it. He's just hooked up to a vacuum cleaner. And it's... Why does that microwave work so fast? It's not a microwave, son.
Have you ever heard of Pokake?
We focus on the...
I think we're... On
Yeah,
that note,
we're
going
about
to take
there.
a quick break for our sponsors, so we'll talk to you in a bit.
They'll probably drop us for this one.
Facing the future is always a worrying prospect with so many darned unknowns, especially for you high cotton city folk. You never know if you're going to strike the mother lode or get killed by one of them fancy underground trains y'all so fond of. We in the backwoods got something for you. An old-fashioned, time-tested way to see what the good Lord got planned for you. Scrabbit casting. Here's how it works. You send me and Joey Ray a $20 bill, then we hit the road looking for flattened critters by the side of the road. We read its innards and outards to see your future. We'll even send you a picture so you know we ain't fibbing about what we found. Ain't that a steal? And for only $10 a month, you can ante up to our weekly newsletter, where we run over a possum with Joey Ray's Super Duty to find out the gist of what your sign's in for. Just send your name and money to Combahee House in Toadsuck, Arkansas, and we'll do the rest. Looking forward to it. How has warfare been affected?
War.
Okay, well,
Hi.
we're back.
Surprise, bitch.
We're back
You're
now.
supposed to ask, are you ready?
Oh,
And you
well, I
didn't.
didn't think about it.
Well, be ready.
This is your fault.
You have to be ready all the
Arbitreers
time.
are so disappointed in you now.
Aren't you the one that's always like, be ready all the time?
No.
Oh, well.
Anyway,
Well, that shut down fast.
war never changes. Unless you throw a lightning rat at God.
So the topic for this last little bit of the Pokemon episode of the Arbitrarium is going to be warfare. Should we Pokemon it? Jade, this was actually your idea for this last little bit. So where should we go from here?
I'd say it's kind of ambiguous because it comes back to how sapient are Pokemon. Because we use animals we have currently in warfare, like bomb-sniffing dogs, and I think at one point trying to weaponize dolphins.
Pig explosions. Don't forget pig explosions.
Pig
That's not a
explosions,
thing.
yeah.
Wait,
It's not?
what?
Strapping pigs with explosives and running them.
That was more like ancient warfare. It's not
Still
like
warfare.
modern times. I mean,
I
you were
thought they
saying
did that in
modern
like World War One.
Not even modern warfare, just
No.
warfare in general.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure I read a story where they were doing that shit in World War One, sending
No,
pig-strapped bombs into.
There were incendiary hogs used by the Romans, and then they would use when you would sap a castle wall or a fortification,
So we need a fact checker on this because
you'd dig a tunnel and then you'd fill that tunnel with hogs. Then you'd set them on fire because hogs burned for a while, and they burned hot because of all the fat.
Piggies burn good.
Look at that bacon sizzle.
You weren't looking at it, but it had two effects. One, it would destroy the foundations because hogs burned real good. And then also, sometimes there'd be cracks and then you'd hear nothing but screaming, burning hogs. So psychological warfare. It's like, my God, they're willing to burn so many hogs to get to us. What else are they willing to do?
I mean, like, even if you're like a basic civilian and you hear screaming, hogs don't necessarily sound inhuman from a distance, especially if they're muffled. So all you hear is flames and screaming.
Yeah.
Does she have nothing but Badoos?
You mean the
So-
sheep beaver?
Yes.
I mean, would we
An
have
creature?
in this world Pokemon Janissaries?
Explain.
So a Janissary was a kind of soldier and warrior used by the Ottoman Empire who were slaves, but soldiers under arms as well. It's one of those weird situations. Like, how the hell does that happen? But it happened, and they were considered the Ottoman elite.
Willing fighters among their slaves. Oh, okay. That's
no,
what I was gonna say.
they were slaves.
All right.
Like, presumably they were kind of brainwashed into it, but they were slaves of the Ottoman Sultan.
Okay.
And they existed solely to carry out war.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that all Pokemon in that situation would be considered
Janissaries.
Janissaries, yeah.
Yeah, because there have absolutely been Pokemon wars.
I'm unfamiliar with any wars in the Pokemon world.
There's only one, I think, that is specifically stated to be fact, and that's the one I mentioned about the king resurrecting his Pokemon and blowing up the space-time continuum.
Okay.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. But there are little hints to it here and there. Like, the main one that I think I personally have found is somewhere in the anime you actually see some old guy with a veteran's cap. Meaning somewhere, somehow, there has been a war. And it doesn't really say anything because it's still Nintendo. They can't be like, by the way, there was this really big bad conflict where people died and most people have trauma about it now. But that's a pretty heavy implication, is having a veteran there. So what are they a veteran of, and how did it happen?
And we do know that there are guns in Pokemon.
Hitting the Johto Kong with his Charizard, the screams haunting him every night.
I mean, there's a banned episode.
Yeah.
Banned in the U.S. where Ash almost gets his head blown off by a revolver. Wielded by a park ranger.
Well, yeah.
Well, in the Pokemon universe, if you're a park ranger, it is totally reasonable to have a revolver.
Oh, no, it's unreasonable to have a revolver, because...
I guess it's not going to do much.
Well, think
Right.
about it. If you're a ranger trying to protect a
Human
specific
uses
endangered
bullet.
species, you're protecting the Pokemon from the people.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
It's either you get shot or you get horribly maimed by this Pokemon.
And you know
So-
those people are, chances are they're going to have their own Pokemon. So it's like the laser-guided bee cannon thing. You're not going for the Pokemon, you're going for the operator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're shooting the trainer.
Yeah. And there's a Pokemon reservation
Yeah.
in one of the games as well. Which is strange to me, because you would think they'd be able to defend their own land if they really wanted to.
Maybe it's one of those, we're not trying, you're not trying
We
to...
could if we wanted to, but look at the humans go.
Okay, that's obviously one of the accounts.
They're not trying to keep people out. They're trying to keep the Pokemon in.
Well, maybe that's one of those Pokemon wars. There's a reason they're on a reservation.
Oh God, why has nobody done a Jurassic Park Pokemon crossover?
Oh God.
Actually,
I just had that whole scene with Dennis Nedry go through my head. This fucking Charizard breaking through the paddock.
I was thinking, Dennis Nedry with the
Dilophosaurus.
Oh yeah,
Dilophosaurus, and it's not a Dilophosaurus, it's a Mr. Mime.
you could have picked any Pokemon, but you had to pick the most human one.
I would go with the Jigglypuff. He doesn't die.
No, there's just something unnerving about being assaulted by Mr. Mime inside a Jeep that...
Unnerving about Mr. Mime, period.
Oh God, how do you mean assaulted?
He was one of my favorite.
Don't ask.
He was my favorite
Don't
Pokemon
ask.
for a while too. I like Mr. Mime.
I'm sure Mr. Mime likes you.
So, as far as how would having Pokemon affect warfare... Oh boy.
Yeah, that's I think the heart of the question. How would it affect warfare?
Well...
Because we would use them.
Yeah.
I think we can safely say that. There's really no question, knowing humans, we would use them.
I don't think there would have ever been phalanx formations.
There's no point.
And you need to space out because they've got Charizards. They have air support.
Let alone Pokemon that can quite literally make earthquakes at a whim.
Fucking Blastoise.
Yeah, you don't clump up. You have to space out. So formations in that world are going to be
Out the window.
well more like modern day infantry formations.
Yeah, I mean, area of effect attacks are huge in the Pokemon universe.
Yeah, and fixed fortifications utterly worthless.
Not when a fucking thunder rat can destroy it.
Right.
I mean,
By sneezing.
Or you got shit that can. You got sand shrew, which can just tunnel. You're not building trenches.
throw a bunch of...
There's no point.
Well, maybe trenches.
Throw a bunch of coughings at them.
You got to consider they might be geographical because you're not going to find the same Pokemon everywhere. So places that are going to be more mountainous will actually have a better option of digging in and rooting themselves than in comparison to someone who is much more spacious, like with the plains, who has probably maybe more normal and flying type Pokemon.
Excuse me, I have to use the restroom.
Mm-hmm. Well, in that case, I think you'd want to dig in the wide open spaces because you're not going to be running. You're not going to be running into shit that can cause a fucking earthquake.
Exactly. So, like, it kind of depends all over, like, what you have available. Because at that point, it's, are you breeding Pokemon specifically for the sake of war? And how are you using them? Because at that point, Team Rocket's really going to come into a key point there, saying...
They're basically Raytheon.
Exactly. I have this specific Pokemon that could really help you in your warfare that covers that empty patch you have, but it's going to cost you. So it gets to this weird point where, how are we acquiring the Pokemon and where are they coming from?
I'm not sure we'd be that concerned about how we're acquiring them and where they're coming from.
Exactly, because how you get them inevitably doesn't matter anymore. It's just getting them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what would most likely happen is you'd have wars would be a lot more like Vietnam. I think, where
asymmetric warfare.
You're going to have structured armies that have very specific Pokemon, and you're going to have the guerrilla warfare folks who don't have nearly as strong a Pokemon. So they're going to have to rely on all the other elements of warfare, like surprise and terror, psychological warfare,
hit and fade. Yeah,
they're gonna need to be able to spread out and plan. They're going to be looking. Honestly, it's in a weird way. It's going to come down in some situations, and maybe even many situations, your knowledge of the lay of the land. Mm-hmm. I would think.
Yeah, I mean that would be part of it. And you got the fucking psychic guys. It's like, well, shit. You know, they've got perfect intelligence gathering. Mm-hmm.
Assuming you have a translator.
Maybe the war that veteran fought in was like the last war. This is too fucking costly. No one has any kind of advantage. There's no point to building an industrial base to build more weapons because, well...
The weapons breed anyway.
It just takes one damn surprise Pokemon to destroy the whole fucking thing.
Right.
And it's not like anybody's really going to be able to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even matter what kind of Pokemon it is.
You get that
into a weapons factory and it's just fucking toast.
Specifically rare Pokemon, you use a Voltorb, which knows self-destruct. Mm-hmm. You toss that son of a bitch in there like a grenade and it's over. It's gone.
Perfect 300. Bowling a fucking Voltorb down into an armory.
Perfect 300. 300 billion worth of manufacturing equipment. It's like you can't move forces. Because they're, you know, whoever has a psychic Pokemon, they're going to know.
And they wouldn't even necessarily need that. They could have, if you're in close enough proximity, flying Pokemon. Damn near any flying Pokemon.
Well, I mean, you can tunnel.
Yeah.
You can tunnel, but it's like, well...
Other tunneling Pokemon could probably sense that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know much about the socio-political organization of the world of Pokemon.
Mm. Hey, your egg's hatching.
Yeah.
It's a Yoshi. What do you got? What is it?
I don't know. Ah.
It's a ball.
It's
an egg with a ponytail.
Happiny. Is that like a blend of that bunny Pokemon and a Togepi? Because it looks like that.
I don't think you'd be wrong.
What the fuck is that?
It's a ball.
It carries a round egg-shaped rock in its belly pouch and gives the rock to its friends.
Oh, that's got to be an evolution of what is it? Chansey? Is that Chansey?
I think so, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the baby version.
Yeah. I'm saying if it's got an egg in its pouch.
It's a rock. It's a rock right now.
It's not big enough to have an egg.
And it's a female. Good for it. All right. God, these things creep me out sometimes.
So,
Are there Pokemon that can heal people?
I would
Kind of.
assume so.
I mean, other than
There are Pokemon that are
tears of
technically made out of
unfathomable
people.
sadness that cause resurrection.
I'm sorry. Hang on. Shut up. What?
There are Pokemon that are technically come from people.
What?
Now, there are many things that could mean.
Yeah.
You're going to
We're
have
not
to be
talking Mr.
specific.
Mime. Don't worry. We're not going down a Mr. Mime rabbit hole. I'm talking like, oh, I got lost in the woods as a child and I died, and now I'm
yeah.
a Pokemon.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing.
Like, there's one, Yamask used to be an explorer of probably runes, dies in there, and its face becomes the mask it carries, and it has some memories of when it was a human, and it cries about it.
Yeah. Some Pokemon are really creepy.
Okay, so human
Shit.
souls become Pokemon, from what we've gathered.
At least it's a possibility.
How they died almost always affects what they become. Like a woman who died in the mountains, in the snowy mountains, becomes
A Banshee.
You're actually kind of correct. I'm forgetting the name of it, but Frostlass. It becomes Frostlass.
yeah.
Makes sense.
And you get if your child gets lost in the woods and ends up not coming home, it becomes a phantom. And there are probably quite a few of these out there.
Behold the fate of Hansel and Gretel.
Pretty much.
Well, considering the number of kids that are sent out to go, okay, you're 10 years old.
Go catch animals.
Here's a small god. Be your servant. Now,
Go fight other gods.
go fight other gods with your small god.
They're out in the woods.
Yep.
They're everywhere, man.
And you're still entrusting that a 10-year-old will
Know
be
what
able
to
to
do.
navigate the dark woods.
Yeah.
Because they're small god, unless it's like one of those that just keeps producing eggs. They're kind of fucked to starvation.
Yeah. I would imagine, you can survive on plants.
If you know what plants to eat.
And
Yeah.
there are absolutely Pokemon who eat people. Or at least in some method capture them in just the sort of Nintendo fashion. We're not going to say they eat you.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to say that they're not going to eat you.
You are totally becoming a Pokeball. You okay? A Cleffa.
They're so hard to find. I just randomly ran into it.
Now use your Ice Penguin to kill it.
Use Quick Ball. I don't want to kill it.
You could have attacked it at least once.
Two.
No, my Pokemon are too strong.
Three.
Oh.
Done.
Hey,
My
you
Pokemon
caught
are too
it.
strong, and I just hatched 2 Pokemon, which are now level 1, which would not stand anything against that.
Congratulations, you have enslaved a fairy. Hey,
Yeah, they're
listen.
leveling up like. Excuse me.
No, there are Pokemon who will absolutely eat you.
So are there any Pokemon that are like the souls of people who died in war? Because that might.
I mean, after a while, probably.
That would probably okay, guys. Maybe we shouldn't be killing people in war because we're just making more Pokemon, and now we're enslaving and
The-
capturing the
the dead.
spirits of our dead veterans.
Yeah, there's
I'm sure
Memorial
that's
Day
a part.
takes on a very different connotation in this world.
they're starting to sound like straight up yokai from Japanese mythology. Like, those can come from fucking anywhere. Like, if you leave a pair of sandals out too long, it'll turn into a yokai.
That's weird.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, Japanese mythology has some weird monsters. Like, one of them is called an akaname. You know what it does?
Eats souls.
It hangs out in your bathroom and licks your toilet.
I'd actually be okay with that.
There's another one that's basically just a shitty roommate. He's rude and eats all your food.
Please tell me he sounds like Walter Matthau.
I was thinking Dana Snyder. Master Shake.
No, yeah, I can see that too. I was going a little more classic, a little odd couple there, but sure.
Okay. Yeah, so the effects of Pokemon on warfare are extensive, hard to predict.
Okay, so you still got time. Set up a scenario and tell us how Pokemon might be utilized in it.
Well, I need a specific battle to work from.
Thermopylae.
Thermopylae?
Okay, apparently, sure. That was the first thing that was shouted out. Thermopylae. The Battle of Thermopylae with
Okay,
Pokemon.
so we're talking ancient technology. The most advanced thing they had back then was like bronze armor. And you've got at least 250,000 Persians marching on, 300 Spartans, and I think 10,000 Thespians in a small pass. Okay, well, with Pokemon, the Persians can ignore that pass because they can just have animals in their Pokemon. They can, all right, we're just going to surf around them. That you've lost control of the ground at that point.
Athenians.
Bottleneck, irrelevant.
Yeah, that the Athenians were doing their thing, but that was a little while, a ways away. I can't remember the name of the battle, but it was like the Athenian Thermopylae against the Persian Navy, where they smashed them.
Fuck your ships!
After the Persian Navy was caught in a storm, and this was back before all-weather ships were a thing. That was a very bad idea to be caught in a storm. The sail rigs sucked. Everything was more or less rowed. Of course, those ships would probably have like naval Pokemon on them that just surfed the ship around.
Yeah.
Presumably.
Sea chariots.
The effects are so hard to predict.
Well, I mean, you got to put some kind of restriction on it because it's easy to say, oh, well, we would just have all these Pokemon to fly around or surf around. But the Pokeballs, or whatever the equivalent of the time would be, wouldn't be super abundant like they would in the modern Pokemon universe.
Well, in fact, they may not have even existed because in the Pokemon games, it is talked about that there was a time before there were Pokeballs, and they talk about how not all Pokemon need a Pokeball to be captured, and some Pokemon outright refuse to go into the Pokeballs, and they'll just follow their.
So most connections you'd have to a
around.
Pokemon would probably be a psychological sort of befriended situation where you domesticated them.
Okay, so I'm trying to think like the most Spartan Pokemon. What would the Spartans use? Probably Machamp.
Machamp, yeah.
I mean, Machamp's a unit. He'd go for that. So you got Machamp versus. I mean, the Persian Empire was vast, man. I mean, they had all sorts of biomes. They could bring up whatever they needed for the environment. So, I think the Persians would just win at Thermopylae if Pokemon were involved.
Yeah, because they'd have a wider selection to choose from and better have a grip on the situation.
And presumably, they had people who could. All right, I've befriended this one, and he's willing to go to war with me and die for Xerxes.
yeah, but what about the heart?
Shut up, Mati.
There's no conceivable reason that Ash could have succeeded against Mewtwo in the way they did it. And to be fair, he was dead when he did it. Basically.
No, he was dead.
He was effectively dead.
It's like that case where a guy was riding on his horse and a severed head bit his leg.
It's the second time you've brought that up.
Because I love that story.
It's just macabre. That's all.
Yeah. And you know what I'm all about.
Well, like, where does the heart come in? I don't know.
What the Spartans, man? What if they just had enough heart?
You mean indoctrination by having them kill?
They were damn brave, but they had the advantage of superior equipment and training. And
Are we carrying over the plot armor of Pokemon into the real world as we carry over Pokemon into the real world?
I was not going to carry over plot armor because that's.
I don't know.
You asked me for a scenario, and now you're trying to redefine it.
I'm just trying to inject Rocky, the whole heart thing.
It kind of almost has to be implied because Pokemon would not be quite Pokemon. They'd just be animals without that kind of quote-unquote heart aspect.
Yeah.
So it would kind of come down to which side would be more personal with their Pokemon.
That is what happens with Pokemon. In the universe, the stronger trainers tend to be the ones who are the most emotionally...
More compassionate to their Pokemon.
Yeah.
Then it's definitely not the Spartans.
I was about to say, the Spartans are probably...
Yeah, you're right,
gladiatorial
fuck.
stuff.
I mean,
You fight or you die.
in order to be, to
The Spartans are Gary.
in order to get through the Agogi, you did have to go and kill a Helit baby.
Yeah. You're right.
So, yeah.
Were the Persians much better with that, though?
I mean, just by virtue of having a bigger empire, they kind of had to be nicer.
Okay, so maybe, but what we're getting down to is that in this particular situation, heart doesn't really play a factor because neither party has that benefit.
Well, I mean,
they're looking at their Pokemon as war machines.
I'm going to say that the Persians still have it on that one. Because
there is a little bit of aspect to be given to the Spartans, though, because if they're doing like these gladiatorial rings, they don't need their Pokemon to think, because they've been fighting so much and getting so much experience, as fighting does, then they would just be super fucking jacked.
And if they're using Machamps, that's how you get to them.
That's double jacked, because Pokemon get experience from fighting, and if their main sport is fighting, holy shit.
Well, Machamps in particular, that is the heart of Machamp. Fucking fight, man.
So, if this is a Pokemon that loves fighting, holy motherfuck!
Okay, so you got 300 Spartans and there's 300 Machamps.
And they're all jacked, and they're all ready to fight, and they've been waiting for this moment since the day they were born.
And the 10,000 Thespians.
Yes.
Sounds like they get...
Still, that's 250,000 Persians.
Yeah.
Presumably with 250,000
Whatever
different...
the fuck they wanted, yeah.
Drawn from wherever.
Well, not everybody is a Pokemon trainer.
That's another point, actually, yeah, because not all of them are even going to
Chances are to become to be in the 300.
In the military, you would be a Pokemon trainer.
Yeah.
They might
Maybe not in the Persian military, but certainly in the Spartan.
Yeah.
They might
because they're going to want as much power as they can get, and in order to have that kind of power, you've got to be a Pokemon trainer.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. They'd put those Machamps in bronze armor, I think.
Oh yeah, they'd be armored if they need it. What would they do?
I don't
Would
think
they
they need it.
Well, even if it was, that'd be really expensive,
They
especially
might
if you had
be.
a lot of them.
They might be armored because they may not know exactly what they're going up against, and Machamp isn't, invincible. Right? You don't know what you're going up against with the Persian army and their Pokemon.
I mean, they weren't.
There are so many phrases in this particular episode that I never thought I would say. The Persians and their Pokemon.
I mean, Persian would have to be part of it.
Oh yeah. They would certainly have Persians.
They would have Persians, and I think the Athenians would probably have some Gyarados just sitting around.
Yeah.
Part of the Navy.
Fuck, if I had Gyarados, I'd have a whole fucking navy of them if I could.
You convince that many to be buddy with you? Holy
You're
shit,
unstoppable,
you're
man.
going to get everyone to suck your cock. All right? Hands down.
Or you just,
And the Athenians would
And
weigh
that's
into that.
exactly what you would use it for.
or you just run around
This
with
was ancient Greece, okay?
Yeah. I wasn't going to make that particular joke.
But you're
Oddly-
going to make the joke of
oddly
like
enough.
a beheaded man's head biting a horse rider's leg? Twice? All right. Weird flex, but okay.
Weird flex is best flex.
I'll let you have that. I'll let you think that.
Why not both?
A weird, strong flex?
Never mind. It would take too long to explain that joke.
Okay. Understood.
Okay. So,
I still think the Persians would have aerial superiority.
all right. What? See if I can form this question properly. What? I'm trying to think of another battle other than the Battle of Thermopylae that we could use as a less obvious example of who would win.
Stalingrad.
Verdun.
Verdun?
Oh, God, no. No, we are not doing Verdun. Because Verdun is, while technically one battle, was really a series of 7 battles spaced out over 9 months. We're not doing that. Okay, I'm sorry. We're not doing that. That is way too much to go over.
Okay.
How about the Emu War?
Okay, the emus would still win because the emus are gods. They're no longer emus. They're whatever the
They're
Pokemon equivalent of ostriches are.
Is there an ostrich?
there's-
Is there an ostrich
No.
Pokemon?
Does it evolve into a cassowary in this case?
The closest thing is Deduo.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh God, it's a.
I
You
mean, I
got
guess.
Duo and then the 3-headed one? Yeah. Triduo?
That's like
No,
the
it's,
closest thing.
I think that's like the only thing that they've got, yeah.
Doduo, and what's the one with 3 heads?
It's its evolution.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it though.
Imagine
That's one of the original 150.
Trio? No, that's the digging Pokemon.
Doug Trio, yeah.
Okay, imagine how dangerous fucking Australia would be under these rules.
I mean, as dangerous as it's always been in relative.
Yeah, because everything
terms.
else would be scaled up too.
I mean, okay. For the sake of the audience, who are probably only familiar with maybe a handful of battles, if that, I'll give you a few options. You got Gettysburg.
Okay.
You've got Normandy.
Okay.
Those are the 2 that immediately popped into my head. Bunker Hill.
Okay.
Trying to think of the most famous battles.
The Sausage War.
I'm not doing the Sausage War.
It was a real battle.
All right, well let's do 3. We'll do 3 options. Pick one.
We're gonna go with Normandy,
Okay.
just because that's gonna require.
That's the battle that everyone knows.
That's gonna take less setup time. So in our world, as everyone knows, Normandy was part of Operation Overlord, the invasion of Fortress Europe that opened up the Second Front against Nazi Germany in a very real way. It is the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan. I still think this would be an Allied victory. For not counting the heart stuff, because that's not quantifiable. You have, alright, the Nazis have a section of Pokemon that are they can draw from just what's in Europe, versus the Allies, which can draw from pretty much anywhere on the planet.
Nah, the Axis had a little bit from a few other places. Middle
I
East
didn't
and
say
Africa.
the Axis. I
is
said
Germany.
Nazi Germany.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough. Okay.
They've already been pushed back into Europe. at
Yeah,
this point.
yeah, you're right. Okay, I gotcha.
And Japan, Italy, they've already been knocked out. And Japan hasn't been, but the coordination between Japan and Germany
Had basically fallen apart at that
never
point.
really existed.
Yeah.
They were at times actively acting against each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why didn't Japan open up a second front against the Soviet Union? Because Japan didn't want to, even though Germany was crying for it. It was moving the Siberian reserves, guarding against the Japanese invasion to Stalingrad, that really kind of saved the Soviet Union.
Please, I'm being mauled by a Russian bear. No.
That's an nursery.
Yeah, so... And then you got the Russians that would still be pushing on, and presumably the Russians are still pushing in with their Pokemon against the Nazi Pokemon.
So what is the Nazi Pokemon? We gotta ask the question. Everybody's,
Weezing.
I'm sure people are wondering, what is...
Reichstag.
I was going to say.
What?
I was going to
I
say.
thought we were just inventing them.
No.
It's a
No.
deer that its antlers are swastikas. Reichstag.
I'll draw that. I'll fucking draw that.
I would say it's a slowpoke because I didn't realize that. Oh shit, we're done.
Oh god, that was great.
Reichstag.
Okay, but I'm not sure I can beat that. But I'm going to ask, if it were an existing Pokemon,
I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of Pokemon. That's what she's around here for.
All right, give me like a general climate that it might be in.
Germany.
Germany,
So
so
something relatively cold, maybe
cold.
rocky.
rocky, wet,
Forest.
forest. Yeah, lots of forest,
It's good wheat territory.
lots of rain.
I would say there's this big abominable snowman motherfucker. I'm forgetting his name.
That's more Swiss, though.
Yeah.
It's not like always snowing in. I mean, Germany's the size of, I think, Wisconsin. It's a pretty big place.
It's going to make it a little bit trickier to pull from because Pokemon are
Think
kind of wherever they
forest and a little dreary.
They might actually use a little bit of ghost typage then if
I'm
it's a
thinking
darker
ghost type.
forest.
Oh god, that's what the camp were for.
Oh god! Oh no! Oh no!
Oh fuck!
Well, we had a good run, guys.
That's it.
In the words of Yakko, good night, everybody.
FBI is going to be on my fucking door tonight.
Oh, no.
No, it'll take them a few days. We're not that big. You absolute son of a bitch, Nick. I was gonna just say, ghost and poison type, but with some steel types thrown in there too.
Yeah, steel types would actually be another good point anyway.
Is there a ghost steel?
Maybe?
Ghost steel Pokemon?
I think
See, this is why we need our damn fact checker.
I think there's one that's a sword and shield that's a ghost Pokemon.
Ghost steel. Or ghost poison.
Ghost poison. That one I don't know about. Because I know a good handful of Pokemon, but even if I knew them, I don't have the brain power or the brain cells to be able to recall them. So that's a toss-up if I can remember a Pokemon or not.
How about the Axis then? Do we have an Axis?
Well, let's just say they threw out a Mewtwo.
Or I'm sorry, an allies.
Again,
we could break it up. Like, what is the American Pokemon?
I mean, you're trying to
I'm just trying to have some fun here.
Yeah, I know, but you've got to look at it from a military standpoint. You've got different Pokemon for different applications.
Yeah, I
Well,
guess.
it's just like
I guess
you don't. There's not just one kind of soldier. Not everyone's an infantryman. Sometimes you need a tanker.
All right, we'll get more specific. If you were at Normandy, what would you be? Let's start with that. Just pick something that you would like to be if you would like to be if you were at Normandy. What would you be if you had your choice?
If I were at Normandy and I was a Pokemon.
No, if you were a person, if you were a trainer, a Pokemon trainer, you were also a soldier, obviously.
Okay.
But you would be a soldier who had a Pokemon.
All right.
So first choose what position you would prefer to be in if you were at Normandy, and then tell me what Pokemon you would use in that position. Okay,
so, all right.
Now, of course, your choice of Pokemon might affect which position you would want to be in.
Okay, I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of
Give
Pokemon.
me, maybe I can help a little.
What's one
Choose
is
what you would want
basically
to
a walking
do, and
shield?
A walking shield.
Oh, what's that fucking son of a bitch's name? He literally is a shield. He's like a steel-type Pokemon, and he looks like a fucking shield with a face.
I
hate
know
that
what you're
Pokemon.
talking about.
Because if I were an infantryman, that's what I want.
Okay.
I have something that can move, and I can walk behind it, and will keep me safe.
Oh,
It'll
yeah,
probably
it'll do
be a
that.
rock type Pokemon of some variety then.
So
'Cause
that's
steel
what I
type
want
is
if I'm
more-
an infantryman at Normandy.
Okay.
If I'm a combat engineer, either that.
Is this the
That motherfucker.
Yeah, let me see. Let me see. I'll know it.
Aegislash.
That's not the one I was thinking of, but I guess it'll work. No, there is a Pokemon that looks like a fucking shield. It's a steel. I'm pretty sure it's a steel type. And I distinctly remember going up against this damn thing, and I could not fucking get past it. Like, it was like I had to use all my damn Pokemon to kill this fucking thing.
Okay. Well, I want that if I'm an infantryman. If I'm a combat engineer, I either want that or an Onyx.
Onyx would be a good choice.
To just kind of...
Steelix. You gotta remember there's a Steelix, too.
Yeah, I'd rather go with the Onyx. Because I just want to clear terrain. I just want to clear shit. Barbed wire, Onyx didn't give two fucks about barbed wire or a hedgehog.
Yeah, most
blast your way
rock or
through
ground types aren't going to give a fuck about that. You get a steel type, it's going to laugh at it. Steel type's probably what made the barbed wire and shit in the first place.
Yeah, it's just berms, concrete. Nope. I'm just getting through that.
That's a steel type's equivalent of a kidney stone.
If I were a tanker, well, fuck.
Blastoise?
He seems a bit vulnerable.
I mean,
in
he's got a
situation
big
like-
shield
He's
on.
relatively large.
Shell.
Well, that's...
Yeah, he doesn't quite fit in a tank.
He would be the tank as well.
What can cool the engine down?
He would be able to fight from pretty far out in the ocean. He'd be able to attack from pretty
That's
far
where
out.
I was going to go if I was in the Navy. And I said tanker.
True.
I'm landing in a tank.
Right.
You know what? I'm going to go with a Charmander. I'm going to go with a Charmander.
Yeah?
Yep. Because then all I have to do is open the breech of the tank, stick his face in there, shoot, and now I got a flamethrower.
See, and no, that makes sense now, because my first thought when you said that was, why not Charizard? Now it makes sense, because Charizard's too fucking big to fit in a tank.
Right. Charmander, you just gotta,
Perfect.
keep his tail from catching the...
Charmeleon might be a good
That
Middle ground for it.
Yeah, that-
for it. You could fit a Charmeleon in a tank.
that is a good way to use
Yeah,
people
I
with
don't
low
want it
level
too
Pokemon.
big, though.
Charmeleon's about like that.
I'd
Yeah,
say.
and there's already 5 men in that tank.
Fair
Well,
enough.
you also got to think.
And you've
if-
seen how
if
big a
they-
Sherman is.
if
So
they
essentially,
anticipate-
I think what he'd want was a really well trained and well taken care of and well loved Charmander, kind of like Pikachu, where he could have evolved but he didn't, and so he's a particularly potent and talented Charmander.
Which kind of
And I need to keep his tail away from the fucking ammo.
Yes.
You need to keep his tail.
3'7".
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Then I want the Charmander.
Charmander's probably like 2 foot something.
But you don't want to
Not
keep the
even
tail
that.
safe anyway, because if the
2 foot,
tail goes out,
exactly.
it dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't... I just want to keep it away from the ammo.
But
Everything else, it's like, oh, great, cool, I can cook fucking hot dogs on this thing.
Yeah.
Very utilitarian. Oh, spark plugs aren't working? Done.
utilitarian actually brings up a good point, in which case an Eevee might actually be an ideal war animal. Because
Yep.
Eevee can turn into most of the things that you need in a type basis.
Yeah, but it can't turn back.
It can't turn back, but Eevee are fairly easy to breed.
There would be an EV brigade.
It'd be adorable but dangerous.
I think Eevee would be like your special forces guys.
Yeah.
You know, you see an Eevee, you shoot that motherfucker, and then you look for the commandos that are nearby. All right,
gonna
so
make a Victorian
if I'm in the Navy providing fire support, yeah, I want a flying type. I want a flying type with a fucking camera on it.
Flying type.
Steelix?
Steelix can
can
fly.
The fuck you get Steelix and flying?
Can Steelix
Or not
fly?
Steelix,
Pidgeot?
Pidgeot.
no, the steel flying Pokemon.
I know what you're talking about.
Skarmory.
Starmer?
Skarmory.
Is that like an extra evolution of Staryu?
The
No, I
Skarmory
want
is
something
its
that's
own
flying
thing,
and
so.
psychic.
No, flying steel.
I want something flying and psychic.
Flying and psychic? Can't many...
I don't know if there's any.
Because I need it to spot my targets and relay the information to me perfectly.
If you want spotting targets, at least a Pidgeotto is something that'd be fairly easy to get and would be able to do that, at least at a very
Remember,
decent
this
rate.
is World War II. Radio communication, tiny. I want that psychic to beam the info right to my face.
What?
If I'm
the fuck
controlling
is-
naval gunfire,
What?
I need to be able to see exactly where that shit's landing. So it needs to be up in there and be able to show me exactly what it sees.
So, is there... fact checker, is there a
Flying psychic.
flying psychic type Pokemon?
There is that I didn't know that exists until just now, actually.
What's it called?
It's the Galarian version of Articuno.
The Galarian version of Articuno?
Yes, I didn't know there was a Galarian version of Articuno.
I don't even know what that means.
Flying psychic instead of freaking flying fire or
Okay.
flying ice or.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing either.
If
So then that one, presumably.
yeah,
That's also a legendary,
Zatu is psychic flying.
Zatu, it looks like a Indian, Native American totem.
yep,
Okay.
that'll work.
Oh, that adds a whole new meaning to Windtalkers.
That specific theater.
A legendary is.
Okay.
That
flying
Lugia. I don't know if we can include legendaries in this because
Yeah.
legendaries would be like, fuck.
Wars would be fought to find them.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That's
If I
probably the
were
only-
Okay, so moving on, because we are actually like
if
we're
I were
probably
an
gonna be pushing
airman,
2 hours on
if
this.
I were up there, depending on my role, if I'm like a B-17 fucking gunner, shit, I want that other steel shield thing again to block incoming fire and maybe use it as a parachute. But a flying steel type to absorb incoming fire and presume also fly through enemy aircraft to be my wingman, presuming it can keep up. Can they move that fast?
Maybe
Some of them certainly can.
some of them, but I don't know
I mean-
if all of them can.
We're talking, moving 400 or 500 miles an hour.
I don't know. I would assume that some of them can.
Then that's what I'd go with there.
This is also all assuming that you're able to have access to this particular
To get this Pokemon in the first
And
place.
and if I'm a medic, well then
Chansey.
yeah.
Or I'm sorry, Clefairy. Or Clefable.
Yeah, I want Clefable going on.
Audino's are really good.
Am I thinking of the
I'll
right
work
one?
on the
Clefable
humans, you
or
work
no?
on their-
It's Chansey.
You
Or is
work on
Chansey?
their
What's the
Pokemon.
one? What's the one that Nurse Joy uses? Just Chansey, isn't it?
Yes, Nurse Joy uses Chansey.
Chansey, okay,
Another
so I
one
was
that
right
you would
the first
use
time.
for medical reasons is Audino. It literally has feelers on its head to feel how you're feeling.
And I wouldn't be surprised if,
A Betazoid.
like, you're issued more than one type of Pokemon. to
Well, yeah,
help
I
with
mean,
different situations.
I would imagine
Like,
you would be issued at least 6 because you know you can.
No, that's too many to keep track
Conveniently.
of.
Yeah, that's too
Yeah.
many to try and even get to begin with. That's too much.
And that would take way too much training
Yeah.
to know.
I suppose
what they're
that's
all
true because with
capable of.
Pokemon you've got
And that's a
their
huge strain on
connection to
natural
their
resources because it's like six Pokemon per
Right.
soldier.
right.
I mean, I
yeah.
could see 2, maybe 3. Mm-hmm. I mean, with the Allies or with the United States industrial output, and yeah, okay, we could probably pull that one off. Maybe.
This is my Eevee. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Oh God, Full Metal Jacket would be a very different film.
Surprisingly good, Garrett.
Yeah, this is a little
I'm
tough.
expecting that to sound disturbingly good on the recording.
I've heard my sons so many times.
Well,
So yeah, it's like you don't just issue a guy a rifle. You know, he's not just for fighting. You issue him a rifle. You issue him a canteen, armor.
Yeah.
So you'd probably have one to supplement in attack, one to supplement in defense, and one to supplement is just kind of utility. That's the way I'd go about it.
Fair enough.
I almost kind of wonder if, in a different way to look at it, is Pokemon wouldn't be treated so much as tools, but as soldiers in themselves.
Probably.
So
Yeah.
you would have like one person who would be a sort of equivalent to a squad leader, and his cluster of Pokemon that he would lead and guide. So instead of having like a Pokemon for every utility for that person would be directing the utility across a broader range.
Yeah, that's probably the smarter way to go about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was taking existing military structure. You throw those things in there, well,
that
the
goes
structure is
up.
going to change.
Yeah.
And
Right,
that's-
right.
you'd probably have a fire team leader. Well, you'd probably have a fire team, an ice team, and
Okay.
and a platoon is just
But-
made up of each one.
Exactly, because that would encourage the bond between the Pokemon and that one particular person to actually be stronger, and kind of adds in the heart to the war.
Yeah.
Possibly
I'm
even
sensing a very fun anime here.
yeah. Yeah.
We just need a gritty Pokemon movie. That's what we need.
All right.
Okay.
I think on that
so,
note,
well, all right. So we're at 45 minutes on just this section alone. So this is going to be a 2-hour episode on Pokemon. Yeah. So let's do what we try to do, and I haven't even thought of this myself all that much, surprisingly, because this was kind of one of those spur of the moment. You talked about it last week as doing an episode, but we didn't really spend much
earlier
time.
this week. Really.
Yeah, thinking about it. So we'll try and end this on the way we try to end multiple episodes, any episode we can, with the general question, the general reiteration of the question. Do you think that Pokemon training? I think that's probably the best way to think of that. Pokemon training and mastery is ethical. After the conversation that we've had, which kind of just went all over the place as far as like what would be the fun thing to talk about.
Okay.
We'll start with
And
Garrett. We'll go clockwise to Garrett, Jade, Nick, and then I'll try to answer the question.
In its current form, no.
Okay.
No, I do not think that it is ethical. Because yes, these things can kill us, but that doesn't mean you have to enslave them.
Even if our continued existence depended on it. 'Cause we talked about that a little bit.
I think at this point in the Pokemon world, we're not so much in danger of being wiped out, since enough people have made friends with them that they would probably help us.
That's what I was thinking too.
We should outlaw Pokeballs, because those things are fucked up beyond belief. I mean, you got to kill them to mind wipe them. And every time you throw them out there and call them back, it's that they're just getting murdered over and over again. Mm-hmm. That you can't tell me that's gonna. And this is a flawless technology. No such thing. Eventually, something's gonna get thrown out of that ball so many times, and it's gonna have like different pieces from different parts of its life grafted onto it.
Are you suggesting that at some point when you throw out that Pikachu, it's going to tumble out in this blob of Jeff Goldblum-esque The Fly bullshit?
Yes.
Okay.
Or we just get more Dittos.
You might also
That's what actually made the
consider
Dittos.
Is it might not even turn back into mass. It might just be an absolute explosion of pure energy that it used to be. And I think I remember seeing online, because I think I looked up some videos. I don't honestly remember much of what I saw. Of a explanation on the lightest Pokemon, a Ghastly, if the energy transfer didn't go into the Pokeball, would be bigger than Nagasaki.
Yes.
See, my question then, that for me, that begs the question. Nico, it's just your tail. That crazy cat.
He's got problems.
That darn cat. Yeah, so that for me that begs the question: if now this is relatively completely off topic, but if you split every atom in the human body, how big would the nuclear explosion be?
Okay, for a I've done the math on this.
See, I thought you probably have, so I wasn't afraid to ask the question.
For a human of 150 pounds, you would have a bomb, if it going total energy conversion and annihilation levels, you would have a bomb around 2.12 gigatons.
That's big.
There is enough energy in that wine glass to flash boil the entire world's oceans.
And I'm drinking it.
Yeah. But that's mass energy. That's packets of energy locked away in mass. There's
So-
only two ways. There's only two ways that we know to actually get to that kind of energy. One is antimatter. That's what happens when you throw matter and antimatter. Total annihilation.
So,
And the other way is you throw it into a black hole and then you slowly get the energy back out of it.
Okay.
I believe we did discuss black hole farming a
Yep.
few episodes ago. So, Jade,
Yes, Jade. Do you find as the expert, as the resident Pokemon expert, do you find Pokemon training and mastery to be an ethical enterprise?
It kind of depends on where it's being used. Team Rocket obviously stands as no, absolutely not, you don't do that. But in the same sense of using them as in their entire sport that pretty much the entire world focuses on, I don't think that in itself is ethical. Pokeballs are kind of a weird subject to go off of if it even works that way. We'll say it does. Yeah, that probably fucking sucks. But if there was an alternative method of capturing Pokemon, which probably can be sought out, there's usually an alternative to most things, Pokemon probably should still be utilized, but I don't think that they should be used in the same way that we have it now. We don't have dogfights for a reason.
Okay. So basically,
Yes, but no.
boils down to are they willing?
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's so situational that it's hard to say exactly where it is, because there's a certain point where you have to think, it's almost asking if we should domesticate animals we have now. Because there are animals that, yes, are brutalized and we have all kinds of terrible no good shit on them. Like trading of exotic reptiles in places where they're not supposed to be, where it's bad for the animal, it's bad for the trade, and bad for everything else. But we also have good things like dogs and cats, and we have horse races where it's not the entire focus to beat and raise the horses, as long as you're not a dickwad who's doing it anyway.
There is one important caveat, though. We established very early on in this conversation that Pokemon are sapient and sentient.
Yeah.
So by that, they should have
They should
the
have
same
some
legal
rights.
protection as you would associate to a human.
Yeah, and
That'll get into my answer.
Yeah, Pokemon kind of gives that credence with the, like what was mentioned, the heart with it, because they're kind of treated as their own sentient beings. But it comes to the point where it stops getting heart is where it should stop happening. Because at that point, it's no longer about considering the sapience of this creature. It's about what can I get out of it and nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah.
to a degree.
I also moved that we start referring to them as Pokemen.
So they're no longer monsters, they're men.
That they are awarded the title of men as they are given the protections of men.
Pocket men.
Yeah, did you think about that before you said it?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll say.
All right, Nick. Nick. What do you think
Well,
about this?
I kind of fall in the same way I do with AI, which is if they're smart enough, it is unethical to enslave them. No, you get them involved in capitalism. Get a fucking job, Pikachu.
I'm going to work down at the power plant.
There are many people who would argue that there's not much of a difference between those two things. I am not one of those people.
Yeah, and those people, I believe, are responsible for some pretty awful things.
Oh,
Call them
yeah.
tankies.
Yep. I'd rather a Machamp get a fucking construction job than, be pit fighting for a living. I mean, they can do that if they want, but the difference is they're being compensated for it.
Handsomely.
And not necessarily just the trainer. At that point, it becomes more of a, fighter and trainer relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would imagine a Pokemon, if they get hungry,
Yeah.
they could just, if the trainer is not adequately skilled enough to be able to provide them food, they can pretty much just be like, you know what? Well, the Pokeball brainwashing aside, they could essentially be like, fuck you, I'm going out. I can go kill a Spearow.
You don't understand me, Mom. I want this to eat.
You don't understand me, Mom. I need food to live.
And, don't stick your dick in them either. Right, Dave?
I think that goes without saying.
For me, it basically, it comes down to a lot of the same types of things. It's, okay, number one, we've already established that if any Pokemon can be proven to be, at minimum, human intelligent, even at minimum, roughly 10-year-old human intelligent, which a fairly decent amount of Pokemon seem to be, then we can certainly grant them sapience. If we grant them sapience, then, as far as I'm concerned, any decision that is made for them, rather than consulted, rather than them being consulted with, is morally reprehensible. That being said, I think that you got to do away with Pokeballs. I don't think there's any way around that. You've got to do away with Pokeballs, so that if you go out into the wild and you decide to engage in a Pokemon battle and you happen to win, then that Pokemon has the option of either becoming one of your Pokemon, if it chooses to, or it's catch and release. Because it could kill you very easily. If it has decided to engage in a Pokemon battle and fight your Pokemon instead of murder you, then it is decided that, more than likely, I would say, that Pokemon has decided that if it loses the battle, it will become your Pokemon.
Well, maybe you just like to fight.
And it still has that option, even if it loses, as to whether or not it's going to become your Pokemon. But the entire time, you should bear in mind that at any given moment, it could have fucking killed you.
Yeah.
As a human.
Assuming your Pokemon didn't stop it trying to...
Right. So, I guess what I'm saying, that for me, that comes down to, okay, if you've managed to capture the Pokemon and it has managed to, you managed to make it say, okay, well, I wouldn't mind being your Pokemon and fighting.
Violently convince it to join you.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind working with you as a trainer. Like, there has to be that consent there.
And it doesn't even have to be through strictly battling. You can coerce them, like, I got some food for you a little bit.
In a weird way, that's more predatory.
I also think...
Because it could go out and find its own fucking food if it wanted to.
I also think we should expand the definition of trainer to... We're not just going to teach you how to fight, because chances are, they've been around for centuries. They already have an idea how to do that.
They're fighting in the wild, man. They
Teach
got
you to drive a forklift.
the street smarts.
Yeah, I'll train you to drive a forklift. I'll train you to cook.
Just imagining a scyther trying to fucking this isn't built for me. But yeah, so when it comes to Pokemon battling, I think it's an issue of pugilism. Has the Pokemon actively decided to be a pugilist? If it has, sure, why not? We like boxing. We like watching people beat the shit out of each other. If they've decided that they want to do that.
Yeah, violence by consent.
Yeah, violence by consent. If the Pokemon decides it wants to do that, then great, cool. We've got Pokebattles.
And this brings us back to dueling, doesn't it?
Yeah, actually, I think it might.
The trainer is now the second. Come on, man, it's not worth it.
But I think that covers it. It's pretty much just, it boils down to, we've determined that enough Pokemon have sapience that we should assume that they all do to a certain extent. And so whether or not they become a Pokemon as relationship to a trainer should be their choice. And if they choose that, then they should also still have the choice as to whether or not they decide to be fighting Pokemon. Cool?
Cool with me, man.
Yep,
Rockin'.
We all good? Is that the end of the episode?
I would say so.
I mean,
Are we
outside
done?
of bringing in just war theory with Mewtwo, yeah, we're good.
Yep.
All right, well, let's...
Yeah, because that'd be a mess. Mewtwo actually does have an armored form.
What?
Yeah, armored Mewtwo is a thing.
Like naturally poke armored
No,
or some shit? Or
not
they
naturally.
armored... They armored
Mewtwo.
I can only assume.
Like it needed it. All right, guys. Well,
What is the natural predator of a Mewtwo? I don't want to meet that Pokemon.
Mew 3. All right.
All right, guys, I think we're done. That was actually, I think, a really good episode. We got a lot of mileage out of that.
A little longer, but, you know.
Jesus!
Where?
That was Kat. She is currently playing Pokemon while we're doing the episode on Pokemon.
I think they gathered that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have a good night, guys, or morning, afternoon, evening,
And we'll see you
Have a
next
good one.
time on the Arbitrarium.
submarine time.
Say bye, Jade.
Ciao.